The transport ship shook as it docked with Galactic Academy Station Omega-7. Lehana pressed her face to the small window and watched the massive station grow larger. Metal arms reached out like spider legs, grabbing onto her ship. She had never seen anything so big floating in space. Other passengers pushed past her to get off the ship. Most of them were tall, with blue skin and 4 arms. They spoke in clicking sounds that her translator turned into words. They kept looking at her and whispering. She heard the word human many times. Hana picked up her small bag and followed the crowd. The docking bay was huge. Hundreds of different aliens walked around, all shapes and sizes. Some looked like walking trees. Others had tentacles instead of arms. A few floated in the air like jellyfish. "Welcome to Omega-7, said a voice behind her. Hana turned around. A creature that looked like a floating jellyfish with glowing spots was talking to her. "I am Professor Kithara. You must be the human student." "Yes," Hana said. "I am Lehana." Professor Kithara's tentacles moved in what might have been a smile. "We are very excited to have our first human student in many years. Your people are quite famous, you know." Hana nodded but said nothing else. She had learned that it was better to listen than to talk too much. "Come," the professor said. "Let me show you to your room." They walked through long hallways filled with aliens. The walls were white and clean. Everything looked new and expensive. Hana noticed that many students stopped to stare at her as she passed. Some pointed, others moved away quickly like they were afraid. "Is there something wrong with humans?" Hana asked. Professor Kithara's tentacles waved slowly. "Not wrong exactly. Your planet Earth is what we call a Class 12 Deathworld. Most species find it hard to believe that intelligent life could come from such a dangerous place." They passed a group of tall, reptile-like aliens. One of them was bigger than the others, with sharp teeth and yellow eyes. He was at least 8 feet tall and covered in dark green scales. When he saw Hana, he stopped talking to his friends and stared at her. "That is Vextal," Professor Kithara said quietly. "He is a Saurian. They are natural hunters from their homeworld." The big alien, Vextal, said something to his friends in a hissing language. They all laughed. It did not sound like a nice laugh. "What did he say?" Hana asked. "Nothing important," the professor said quickly. "Here is your room." The door opened to show a small but clean space. There were 2 beds, 2 desks, and a large window that looked out into space. A small alien that looked like a rabbit with blue fur was sitting on one of the beds. "This is Nam Subin," Professor Kithara said. "She is from the Leperan system. She will be your roommate." Subin jumped up from her bed. She was only about 4 feet tall, with large ears and bright pink eyes. "Hello," she said in a high, sweet voice. "I am so happy to meet you. I have never met a human before." Hana put her bag on the empty bed. "Nice to meet you, too." "Subin will help you learn about the academy," Professor Kithara said. "Classes begin tomorrow. Try to get some rest." The jellyfish-like professor floated away down the hall. Subin bounced on her toes. "This is so exciting. Tell me about Earth. Is it really as dangerous as they say? Do you really fight giant monsters there?" Hana sat on her bed and looked out the window. "Earth is just home," she said. "Where I grew up, we had to be careful of snakes and spiders. And the crocodiles near the water." "Crocodiles?" Subin's ears stood up straight. "Big lizards with lots of teeth. They can grow to be 20 feet long." Subin made a small, scared sound. And you lived near them? You learn to watch where you step, Hana said, and you learn to be quiet when you need to be. That night, Hana lay in her bed and listened to the strange sounds of the space station. She could hear aliens talking in the hallways. Some of their voices were very deep, others were high and musical. She thought about her brother Take back on Earth. He had wanted to come to the academy too, but only one human was allowed this year. You will do fine, he had told her before she left. Just remember what Dad taught us. Watch everything, learn everything, and only fight when you have to. The next morning, Subin woke her up early. Come on, we need to get breakfast before classes start. The dining hall was huge and loud. Hundreds of alien students sat at long tables eating strange foods. Hana followed Subin to get a tray of something that looked like purple soup and brown bread. They found an empty table near the back. Hana ate quietly while Subin talked about her classes and teachers. She noticed that many students were still staring at her. Some seemed curious, others looked afraid. Then she saw Vextal again. The big saurian was sitting with 3 other reptile aliens at a table near the front. He was looking right at her. When their eyes met, he showed his sharp teeth in what was definitely not a smile. Don't look at him, Subin whispered. Vextal is mean to everyone, but he especially does not like students who are different. Different how? Hana asked. Smaller, weaker, from peaceful worlds. Subin's ears drooped. He thinks predator species should be in charge of everyone else. Hana kept eating her soup. She did not look at Vextal again, but she could feel him watching her. She remembered something her father had told her about the big crocodiles back home. The smart ones do not attack right away, he had said. They watch first. They learn your habits. Then, when you are not ready, they strike. After breakfast, Subin showed her to their first class. It was called Galactic History and Culture. The classroom was full of different alien species, all sitting at desks that were made for their different body types. Hana found a human-sized desk near the back. As she sat down, she heard a low hissing sound behind her. She turned around and saw Vextal sitting 2 rows back. He was staring at her with his yellow eyes. Look at the little human, he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. So small and soft. I wonder how long she will last here. Some of the other students turned to look. A few of the smaller, more peaceful species looked worried. Hana turned back around and got out her notebook. She did not say anything. I heard humans come from a dangerous world, Vextal continued. But this one looks like she would break if I breathed on her too hard. Professor Kith Ara floated into the room. Please take your seats. Today we will discuss the formation of the Galactic Council. Vextal stopped talking, but Hana could still feel his eyes on the back of her head. She took notes during the whole class and did not turn around once. After class, as students filed out, Vextal walked past her desk. He moved slowly, like he wanted her to notice him. When he was right next to her, he leaned down. Welcome to the academy, little human, he whispered. I hope you survive your first week. Then he was gone, following his friends out of the classroom. Subin appeared at Hana's side, her ears flat against her head. Are you okay? She asked. He was being really mean. Hana put her notebook in her bag. I am fine, she said. But as they walked to their next class, Hana was thinking. She was remembering all the things her parents had taught her about living on a world where everything wanted to kill you. The first rule was simple. Never show fear. The second rule was even more important. Always know where the predators are. She had found her predator. Now she just had to decide what to do about him. 3 weeks had passed since Hana arrived at the academy. Every day, Vexatal found new ways to make her life difficult. He would stand in doorways, so she had to squeeze past him. He would sit behind her in class and make quiet hissing sounds. Sometimes he would accidentally bump into her in the hallways, hard enough to make smaller aliens fall down. Hana never said anything. She never complained. She just kept going to class and doing her work. "Why do you not tell the professors?" Subin asked one evening as they studied in their room. "Professor Kithara would help you." "Tell them what?" Hana asked, not looking up from her textbook. "That he stands too close? That he bumps into me?" "They would say it was an accident." Subin's ears twitched with worry. "But everyone can see he is being mean to you on purpose." "Seeing and proving are different things," Hana said. She had learned this from her cousin Minho, who worked as a military advisor back on Earth. He had taught her that bullies were smart. They knew exactly how far they could push before anyone would stop them. The next morning, Hana found her homework tablet broken on her desk. The screen was cracked and the circuits were fried. It would take days to get a replacement. Oh no. Subin gasped when she saw it. What happened? Hana picked up the pieces. She could smell something sharp and chemical on the broken plastic. "Saurian saliva," she said quietly. "It is acidic. It can burn through metal if they make it strong enough." Subin's pink eyes went wide. "Vextal did this?" "Probably." Hana put the pieces in the trash. "I will have to share your tablet for today." "Are you not angry?" Subin asked. "I would be so mad." Hana sat on her bed and looked out the window at the stars. "Getting angry will not fix my tablet," she said. But that was not really true. Hana was angry. She was very angry. She just did not show it. On Earth, showing anger to a predator was often the last mistake you ever made. During lunch that day, Vextal walked past their table and accidentally knocked over Hana's drink. The purple liquid spilled all over her food and the table. "Oops," Vextal said with his sharp-toothed smile. "How clumsy of me." His friends laughed. Other students at nearby tables looked uncomfortable but did not say anything. Hana cleaned up the mess with napkins. She did not look at Vextal. She did not speak. When she was done, she just got up and left the dining hall. Subin found her, later in the library, reading about Saurian biology and culture. "What are you studying?" Subin asked. "I want to understand how they think," Hana said. She had already learned several interesting things. Saurians were pack hunters on their homeworld. They respected strength and dominance. To them, anyone who did not fight back was prey. She also learned about their anatomy. Saurians had thick scales that could stop most weapons, but their necks were vulnerable. They needed to keep their heads high to breathe properly, which meant certain joints were always exposed. "Hana," Subin said quietly, "I am scared of what Vextal might do next." "Do not worry," Hana said, still reading. "I can handle him." "But he is so much bigger than you, and his claws are so sharp." Hana looked up from her book. "Size is not everything, Subin. On Earth, the deadliest creatures are often the smallest ones. A tiny spider can kill something 1,000 times bigger." That night, Hana did her exercises in the small space between her bed and the window. They looked like simple stretches to anyone watching, but they were actually combat drills her father had taught her. He had been a soldier before becoming a scientist, and he had made sure both his children knew how to defend themselves. "Why are you doing those weird movements?" Subin asked. They helped me think, Hana said. It was not completely a lie. The movements did help her think. They also helped her remember exactly how to break bones and disable attackers. The harassment got worse over the next few days. Vextal started following her after classes, always staying just far enough away that she could not prove he was stalking her. He would whisper things in Saurian that her translator could not pick up, but she could guess what he was saying from his tone. On Friday, he escalated again. Hana was walking to her advanced mathematics class when Vextal and two of his friends blocked the hallway in front of her. "Where are you going, little human?" Vextal asked. "To class," Hana said. She tried to walk around them, but one of the other Saurians moved to block her path. "Not so fast," Vextal said. "We want to talk to you." "About what?" Hana asked. "About how things work here," Vextal said. He leaned down so his face was close to hers. She could smell his breath, which was like rotten meat and sulfur. "See, this academy has rules, and one of those rules is that weak species stay out of the way of strong species." Hana did not step back, even though every instinct told her to run. "I have not broken any rules." "You have not shown proper respect," the Saurian to her left said. This was Thekmor, one of Vextal's closest friends. "When Vextal speaks to you, you should answer. When he walks past, you should bow." "The Academy Handbook does not say anything about bowing," Hana said. Vextal's eyes flashed with anger. "Are you being smart with us, human?" "I am stating facts," Hana said. For a moment, she thought Vextal might actually attack her right there, in the hallway. His claws extended slightly, and she could see the muscles in his arms tense. But then he seemed to remember where they were. The academy had security cameras everywhere. "Facts," he repeated slowly. "Let me tell you a fact, little human. Your planet might be dangerous, but you are not on your planet anymore. Here, you are just soft meat walking around in a fragile skin bag. Remember that." He turned and walked away, his friends following. Hana stood in the hallway for a moment, then continued to her class. She was not shaking, but her heart was beating, faster than normal. That evening, she called home using the Academy's communication system. Her brother Tyek appeared on the screen, sitting in their family kitchen back on Earth. "Hey, little sister," he said with a smile. "How is space school? Treating you?" "It is educational," Hana said. Tyke studied her face. Even through the video call, he could read her expressions. They had always been able to do that with each other. "What is wrong?" he asked. "There is a bully," Hana said simply. "Ah." Tyke leaned back in his chair. "What kind of bully?" "Big reptile. Thinks humans are weak. Wants to prove it." "And what do you think?" "I think he is making a mistake," Hana said. Take nodded slowly. "Do you remember what Dad taught us about the big saltwater crocs? Wait for them to commit to an attack before you move," Hana recited. "If you act too early, they will just back off and try again later. If you wait until they are fully committed, you can end it in one move." "That is right," Tyke said. "But be careful, Hana. You are not dealing with a crocodile. This alien might be smarter. Or he might be dumber," Hana said. "I have been reading about his species. They are pack hunters, but they rely on intimidation more than intelligence. They expect their prey to run or submit. And you are not going to do either." "No," Hana said. "I am not." After the call ended, Subin looked at her with worried eyes. You sounded like you were talking about hunting, she said. In a way I was, Hana said. Sometimes when you are dealing with a predator, you have to think like one, too. That weekend, Vextal tried a new approach. He started spreading rumors about humans being disease carriers from their filthy Deathworld. Several students began avoiding Hana in the dining hall and changing seats when she entered classrooms. Subin was upset about the rumors, but Hana seemed almost pleased. Why are you not bothered by this? Subin asked. Because it means his intimidation tactics are not working, Hana said. He is getting desperate. Desperate predators make mistakes. On Monday morning, Hana found more of her belongings damaged. This time it was her clothes, dissolved by acid in several places. She would have to order replacements, which would take weeks to arrive from Earth. This has gone too far, Subin said, her ears flat against her head. I am going to tell Professor. Kithara, no, Hana said firmly. Not yet. But why? This is not fair. Hana folded the damaged clothes carefully. Because if I report him now, he will just get a warning. He will be more careful, but he will not stop. I need him to make a bigger mistake. What kind of mistake? Hana looked at her small roommate. Sobin was from a peaceful world where the biggest predator was something like a house cat. She could not understand the kind of calculations Hana was making. The kind that makes everyone see what he really is, Hana said. She was getting close, to the end of her patience. But not quite yet. Vextal had not committed fully to his attack. He was still testing, still probing for weaknesses. But soon, very soon, he would push too far. And when he did, Hana would be ready to show him exactly what a Deathworld girl could do. By the 6th week, Vextal had recruited more allies. 2 other Saurians named Gektar and Rixmol started joining him when he bothered Hana. They would surround her in empty hallways or corner her near the storage areas where the security cameras could not see everything clearly. Look, it is the little Deathworld princess, Gektar would say when they found her studying in quiet parts of the library. I heard humans shed their skin like snakes, Rixmol would add. Maybe we should check if that is true. They never quite crossed the line into actual assault. They were too smart for that. But they made sure Hana knew they could hurt her any time they wanted. The harassment had become a daily routine. Vextal would find her after breakfast and make comments about how weak she looked. During lunch, one of his friends would accidentally spill something on her or knock her books to the floor. After dinner, they would follow her toward the dormitories, always staying just far enough back to claim they were just walking in the same direction. Other students started avoiding the areas where these encounters happened. Word spread quickly through the academy about the human problem. Most aliens did not want to get involved in what they saw as a dispute between 2 dangerous species. They think we are both predators, Subin explained sadly. They do not understand that you are nothing like them. But Hana was not so sure about that. Every day she felt more like the predators she had grown up around on Earth. She was learning to move silently through the hallways. She was memorizing schedules and patrol routes. She was studying her enemies like a hunter studies prey. Professor Kithara had started to notice the tension. During her galactic culture class, she would pause whenever Vextal made his comments and stare at him with her large floating eyes. But since Hana never complained or reported anything, there was nothing the professor could officially do. Miss Hana, Professor Kithara said after class one day, might I speak with you privately? Hana waited until the other students had left. Vextal was the last to go, and he made sure to brush against her shoulder hard enough to hurt as he passed. have been observing some concerning interactions, Professor Kithara said gently. If there are any problems with other students, you know you can speak to me about them. There are no problems, Hana said. The professor's tentacles waved slowly. My species is very good at reading emotional vibrations. I can sense high levels of stress and aggression in this classroom. It is making the other students uncomfortable. I am sorry to hear that, Hana said. I will try to be less stressful. Professor Kithara studied her for a long moment. You know, most species would have reported harassment by now, or fought back, or at least shown some fear. Your complete lack of response is quite unusual. On Earth, showing fear to a predator is often fatal, Hana said. We learn early to stay calm. And what do you do when staying calm is not enough? Hana met the professor's glowing eyes. We do what we have to do. That evening, Hana had a video call with Dr. Yoon Jiwoo, a human xenopsychologist who worked with the academy as a consultant. Dr. Yoon was in her 50s, with graying hair and kind eyes behind thick glasses. How are you adjusting to life at the academy? Dr. Yoon asked. It is interesting, Hana said. I am learning a lot about interspecies dynamics. Dr. Yoon smiled. That is one way to put it. I have been hearing reports about some social tensions involving you and a Saurian student. Reports from whom? Hana asked. Professor Kithara is concerned. She says the atmosphere in her classes has become quite strained. I see. Dr. Yoon leaned forward. Hana, I know your family. Your father was one of my students before he became a field researcher. I understand that your upbringing was somewhat unusual, even by Earth standards. My parents taught me to be prepared, Hana said. Yes, I am sure they did. But being prepared and being smart are not always the same thing. If you are having trouble with another student, there are proper channels to address it. The proper channels require evidence of actual wrongdoing, Hana said. Intimidation and psychological harassment are hard to prove when the perpetrator is careful. Dr. Yoon was quiet for a moment. You sound like you are planning something. I am planning to graduate and represent humanity well at this academy, Hana said. And if this Saurian pushes too far, then I will handle it appropriately. After the call ended, Subin looked worried. You keep saying you will handle things, but I do not understand what that means. Hana was doing her evening exercises again. Tonight she was practicing what looked like slow dance moves, but were actually combat forms designed to break joints and disable attackers quickly. It means I will do what needs to be done, Hana said, flowing smoothly from one stance to another. But what if you get hurt? Subin's ears drooped. What if he really hurts you? Hana stopped moving and looked at her roommate. Sweet, gentle Subin, who came from a world where the biggest conflict was disagreeing about what to have for lunch. Subin, Hana said carefully, do you know what the mortality rate is for humans growing up in the Australian outback? No. About 3% die before age 18 from animal attacks, environmental hazards, or accidents. That is just normal life for us. We learn to deal with threats that would kill most other species instantly. Subin's pink eyes went wide. 3%? That is horrible. It makes us very good at surviving, Hana said. My parents are both scientists who study dangerous alien wildlife. My brother is training to be a military advisor. My cousin Minho works in hostile environment security. We are not helpless prey animals, Subin. We just look like it to species that have never had to fight for survival. The next day, Vextal escalated again. This time, he did not wait for an empty hallway. During the lunch period, when the dining hall was full of students, He walked over to Hana's table and stood behind her chair. "Move," he said loudly enough for nearby tables to hear. Hana continued eating her soup. "Excuse me?" "You heard me, human. This is where I want to sit. Move." The dining hall got quieter as other students noticed what was happening. Subin looked terrified, but she did not leave her seat. "There are many empty tables," Hana said without turning around. "I want this one." Hana set down her spoon and finally turned to look at him. Vextal was looming over her, using his full 8-foot height to intimidate her. His claws were partially extended, and his yellow eyes were fixed on her face. "No," Hana said simply. For a moment, the entire dining hall seemed to hold its breath. Several species that were naturally prey animals started edging toward the exits. Even some of the predator species looked uncomfortable. Vextal's eyes narrowed. "What did you say?" I said, "No. I am eating lunch at this table. You can find another one." Vextal leaned down until his face was only inches from hers. "Do you know what happens to prey that does not run when a predator tells them to?" "I am not prey," Hana said calmly. "Everyone is prey to something, little human." Hana met his gaze without blinking. "You are welcome to test that theory." The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Something in Hana's voice, some quality that had not been there before, made several students actually get up and leave their tables. Vextal straightened up slowly. He was confused. In his experience, prey animals either ran or submitted when confronted directly. Hana was doing neither. She was just sitting there, looking at him with calm, steady eyes that showed no fear at all. "This is not over," he said finally. "I did not think it was," Hana replied. Vextal walked away, but Hana could tell he was shaken. She had just violated everything he thought he knew about how prey species should behave. That was terrifying. Subin whispered. "I thought he was going to attack you right here." "He was thinking about it," Hana said. "But he is not quite ready yet." "Ready for what?" "To commit fully." Hana went back to eating her soup. "He is still testing, still trying to figure out what I am." "What are you?" Subin asked. Hana looked at her small, gentle roommate. "I am something he has never met before. Something that looks like prey, but is not. And that scares him more than he wants to admit." That night, Hana lay in her bed thinking about the encounter in the dining hall. Vextal was getting frustrated. His usual tactics were not working, and he was starting to lose face in front of his friends and the other students. She knew from her research that frustrated saurians became more dangerous. When they could not establish dominance through intimidation, they usually resorted to violence. The question was not whether Vextal would eventually attack her. The question was when, and whether she would be ready when he did. She thought about her family back on Earth, her father tracking venomous snakes through the bush, her mother studying alien predators on hostile worlds, her brother learning to outfight opponents twice his size. They had all taught her the same lesson. Sometimes, the only way to deal with a predator was to prove that you were more dangerous than they were. Vextal would learn that lesson soon. The change in Vextal's behavior started small. Instead of just verbal threats and intimidation, he began testing physical boundaries. It started with his tail. Saurians used their tails for balance and communication, but they were also powerful weapons. Vextal would accidentally swing his tail as he walked past Hana in the hallways. For most species, getting hit by a saurian tail was like being struck by a thick metal pipe. It could easily break bones or cause internal bleeding. The first time it happened, Hana was walking to her advanced physics class. Vexatal came around a corner and his tail swept across the hallway right where she was standing. For most students, there would have been no time to react. Hana ducked under it without breaking her stride. Vextal stopped and turned around, confused. "Did I miss?" "Apparently," Hana said, continuing toward her classroom. The second time, he put more force behind it. Any normal student would have been knocked into the wall hard enough to require medical attention. Hana bent backward like she was doing yoga, letting the tail pass over her, then straightened up and kept walking. By kill. The third time, Vextal was no longer pretending it was an accident. He deliberately aimed his tail at her head during a crowded transition between classes. Hana caught it. She caught his tail with her bare hands and held it for exactly 3 seconds before letting go and walking away. The corridor went completely silent. "How did you do that?" Subin asked later in their room. "His tail weighs more than you do?" "Leverage," Hana said simply. She was reading a book about advanced combat techniques, something she had downloaded from Earth's military database. "And timing. If you catch something at the right angle when it is moving fast, you can redirect its energy instead of absorbing it. But that was impossible. No one can catch a saurian tail attack." "Apparently someone can," Hana said, turning a page. The incident in the hallway marked a turning point. Vextal's frustration was now visible to everyone. His friends started looking nervous when he talked about the human. Other students began avoiding him too, sensing that his anger was reaching dangerous levels. Professor Kithara called another meeting with Hana. "The tension in the academy has become impossible to ignore," the professor said. "Several students have requested transfers to other stations. The Leparan delegation is considering withdrawing from the exchange program entirely." I'm sorry to hear that," Hana said. "Miss Hana, I have reviewed the security footage from the hallway incident. What you did should have been physically impossible for a human. Perhaps the reports about human capabilities are outdated," Hana said. "Perhaps." Professor Kithara's tentacles moved nervously. "I feel I should warn you that saurian psychology becomes unpredictable when their dominance displays fail repeatedly. They may resort to more direct methods." "I understand." "Do you? Because if Vextal decides to attack you directly, the Academy cannot guarantee your safety. Our security systems are designed to prevent organized violence, not to stop individual assaults that happen quickly." Hana met the professor's glowing eyes. "Then I suppose I will have to handle any problems myself." That evening, the situation escalated again. Hana was returning from the library when she found Vextal waiting outside her dormitory room. He was alone this time, which was unusual. Normally, he traveled with his pack. "We need to talk," he said. "About what?" Hana asked, stopping about 10 feet away from him. "About you making me look weak in front of the other students." "I have not done anything to you," Hana said. "I have not reported you, fought you, or even spoken against you. All I have done is refuse to be intimidated." "That is the problem." Vextal's voice rose to a shout. "You should be intimidated. You should be terrified. You are a tiny mammal from a backwater planet, and I am an apex predator from a warrior species." "If you say so," Hana said. "Stop doing that." Vextal took a step toward her. "Stop being so calm. Stop acting like you are not afraid." "I cannot stop being something I am not," Hana said. Everyone is afraid of something. Yes, Hana agreed. Everyone is afraid of something. Then what are you afraid of? Vexatal demanded. Hana thought about it for a moment. I am afraid of failing my family. I am afraid of not representing humanity well. I am afraid of disappointing the people who believed in me enough to send me here. What about dying? Are you not afraid of dying? Death is just one possibility. Among many, Hana said. On Earth, we learn early that fear of death will get you killed faster than anything else. Fear makes you slow. Fear makes you stupid. Fear makes you pray. Vextal stared at her for a long moment. Then, without warning, he lunged forward and grabbed her arm with one clawed hand. Hana looked down at his claws, which were pressed against her skin hard enough to draw small drops of blood. Then she looked back up at his face. You should let go now, she said quietly. Or what? Vextal squeezed harder. What will you do, little human? Cry for help? Run to the professors? No, Hana said. I will break your wrist. Vextal laughed, but it sounded forced. You and what army? Just me. Something in her voice made Vextal look more closely at her face. What he saw there made him uneasy. Hana was not angry, not frightened, not even particularly concerned. She was just stating a fact like she might comment on the weather. You are bluffing, he said, but his grip loosened slightly. Test it and see. For a moment, they stood frozen like that. Then Vextal let go of her arm and stepped back. This is not over, he said. I know, Hana replied. That night, Subin found Hana sitting on her bed cleaning the small cuts on her arm with disinfectant. He hurt you, Subin said, her ears flat with distress. We have to report this. This is assault. These are just scratches, Hana said. Barely worth mentioning. But he grabbed you. He drew blood. Yes, he did. Hana bandaged her arm carefully. And now he knows that I did not scream, did not cry, and did not run away. He also knows that I was not bluffing about being able to hurt him. How could you hurt him? He is huge. Hana looked at her small, innocent roommate. Subin, do you remember when I told you about the deadly creatures on Earth being small? Yes. I was not just talking about spiders and snakes. I was talking about humans, too. We are persistence hunters, Subin. We evolved to chase down prey animals that were bigger, stronger, and faster than us. We would follow them for days until they collapsed from exhaustion, then kill them with simple tools and teamwork. Subin's pink eyes went wide. But that was thousands of years ago. Evolution does not disappear in a few thousand years. We still have those instincts. We still have that capacity for violence when we need it. Hana finished with the bandage and looked at her reflection in the window. Most humans never need to use it. They live safe, civilized lives and never discover what they are really capable of. But some of us grow up in places where those old skills are still necessary. What kind of places? Places where the local wildlife can kill you if you make a mistake. Places where showing weakness to the wrong predator means you do not get a second chance. Hana turned away from the window. Vextal thinks he is dealing with domesticated prey. He is about to learn that some humans are still wild. The next day, Vextal brought his whole pack with him when he cornered Hana after lunch. Tekmor, Gektar, and Rixmol surrounded her in a maintenance corridor where the security cameras had blind spots. No more games, Vextal said. You are Going to learn your place, human. And what place is that? Hana asked. Under my claws, Vextal said. Begging for mercy, Hana looked around at the 4 large saurians surrounding her. Any reasonable person would have been terrified. Instead, she seemed to be calculating something. This corridor is 12 feet wide, she said thoughtfully. Your species needs at least 6 feet of space to use your claws effectively. That means only 2 of you can attack me at once without getting in each other's way. What are you talking about? Thekmor demanded. I am evaluating the tactical situation, Hana said. It is something we learn on Earth. Always know your environment before a fight starts. There is not going to be a fight, Vextal said. There is going to be you submitting to your betters. No, Hana said simply. There is not. Vextal's patience finally snapped completely. With a roar of rage, he lunged at Hana with his claws extended, intending to pin her against the wall and show her once and for all who was the predator and who was the prey. He was about to learn that some prey bite back. Vextal moved fast, faster than most species could follow. His claws were extended and aimed at Hana's throat. In his mind, this was the moment he would finally establish dominance over the strange little human who refused to show proper fear. He never saw Hana move. One moment he was lunging forward, confident in his superior size and strength. The next moment, he was flat on his back on the corridor floor, staring at the ceiling and trying to figure out what had happened. Hana was standing, exactly where she had been before, looking down at him with the same calm expression she always wore. How? Vextal gasped, trying to get air back into his lungs. Physics, Hana said simply. You were moving fast in a straight line. I stepped aside and used your momentum against you. Basic martial arts. Vextal rolled over and got back to his feet, his yellow eyes blazing with fury. His 3 friends spread out around Hana, but they looked uncertain now. What they had just seen should not have been possible. Lucky, Vextal snarled. That was just lucky. Was it? Hana asked. This time, Vextal was more careful. He approached slowly, claws ready, watching for any sudden movements. When he was close enough, he swept his claws toward her head in a move that should have been impossible to dodge. Hana ducked under the swipe, stepped inside his guard, and hit him in the solar plexus with the palm of her hand. Vextal doubled over, wheezing. The strike had not looked like much, but it had knocked the wind out of him completely. While he was bent over, Hana grabbed his extended arm and twisted it behind his back in a joint lock that made him cry out in pain. Submit, she said quietly. Never. Vextal tried to break free, but the lock was perfectly applied. Any movement just made the pain worse. Submit, or I break your arm, Hana said in the same calm tone she used to ask for help with homework. For a moment, Vextal actually considered submitting. The pain was intense, and he could feel that she really could break his arm if she wanted to. But then he remembered his friends watching, and his pride overcame his common sense. Help me, he shouted to the other saurians. Thekmor charged forward, but Hana was ready for him. She released Vextal's arm and stepped to the side, letting Thekmor's momentum carry him past her. As he went by, she grabbed his tail and used it like a lever to send him crashing into the wall. Gektar and Rixmol attacked together, thinking their numbers would overwhelm her. They were wrong. Hana moved between them like water, never staying in one place long enough for their claws to connect. She struck at pressure points and nerve clusters, moves her father had taught her for dealing with large predators. Within seconds, both saurians were on the ground, temporarily paralyzed. Vextal had recovered from the joint lock and was getting ready to attack again when Hana turned back to face him. "Stop," she said. "This is not over," Vextal roared. "I will kill you for this." "No," Hana said. "You will not." Something in her voice made him pause. For the first time since this all began, Hana sounded angry. Not frustrated, not annoyed, but genuinely angry. "You have had months to prove your dominance through intimidation," she continued. "You have had weeks to establish your superiority through harassment. You have had days to back down and find someone else to bully. You have chosen violence instead." "You do not scare me, human," Vextal said, but his voice lacked conviction. "I should," Hana said quietly, "because you have no idea what you are dealing with." Vextal looked around at his three friends, all of whom were still trying to recover from their encounters with the small human girl. For the first time, doubt crept into his mind. "What are you?" he asked. "I am Lee Hana," she said. "I am 17 years old. I am a student at this academy. I am a human being from Earth." She took a step toward him, and he actually stepped back. "And I am done being polite." "You cannot threaten me," Vextal said. "There are rules here, laws." "You are right," Hana agreed. "There are rules. One of them is that students have the right to defend themselves from assault. I have not assaulted." "You!" Hana held up her bandaged arm. "You drew my blood yesterday. You cornered me with 3 accomplices today. You attacked me with lethal intent." She tilted her head slightly. "Would you like me to continue?" Vextal realized that he had made a terrible mistake. In his arrogance, he had assumed that because humans looked weak, they were weak. He had not considered that a species tough enough to evolve on a Class 2 Deathworld might have hidden capabilities. "This is not how things are supposed to work," he said, almost pleading now. "I am the predator. You are the prey. That is the natural order." "Natural to whom?" Hana asked. "On my world, there is no single apex predator. Everything eats something else, and everything gets eaten by something else. Even the biggest, strongest creatures can be brought down if you know their weaknesses." She moved closer, and Vextal found himself backing against the wall. "Do you know what your weakness is?" she asked. "I do not have any weaknesses," Vextal said, but his voice was shaking now. "Your weakness is that you have never met real prey," Hana said. "Everything you have ever hunted was either smaller than you, weaker than you, or too frightened to fight back effectively. You do not know how to deal with something that looks like prey but fights like a predator." Vextal tried to summon his courage for one last attack, but something stopped him. Maybe it was the way Hana was looking at him, like she was calculating exactly how to kill him most efficiently. Maybe it was seeing his 3 friends, all larger and stronger than any human, lying defeated on the floor. Or maybe it was the realization that he had spent months trying to intimidate something that was not capable of being intimidated. "What do you want?" he asked finally. "I want you to leave me alone," Hana said. "I want you to stop harassing other students. I want you to learn that being big and scary does not give you the right to hurt people who cannot fight back. And if I refuse?" Hana considered the question seriously. "Then the next time you threaten me or anyone else, I will not stop at demonstrating superior technique. I will stop the threat permanently." The corridor was completely silent for a long moment. Vextal looked into Hana's eyes and saw something that made his blood run cold. She was not bluffing. She was not trying to scare him. She was simply stating a fact. "I understand," he whispered. Good. Hana stepped back and adjusted her clothes, which had barely been disturbed during the fight. Please help your friends to the medical bay. They will recover fully, but they may be sore for a few days. Vextal helped Thekmor to his feet, while Gektar and Rixmol slowly regained control of their limbs. None of them looked at Hana as they limped away down the corridor. When they were gone, Hana leaned against the wall and took a deep breath. Her hands were not shaking, but her heart was beating fast. Violence always affected her this way, even when she won easily. She thought about calling her brother Tyke to tell him what had happened, but decided against it. He would just worry about her, and there was no need for that now. The threat was over. By the time she got back to her room, news of the fight had already spread through the academy. Sobin was waiting for her with wide, worried eyes. Is it true? Subin asked. Did you really fight 4 Saurians at once? I defended myself against an assault, Hana said carefully. The rest is just details. But everyone is saying you defeated them all without even getting hurt. Everyone exaggerates, Hana said, but she was smiling slightly. That evening, Professor Kithara called Hana to her office. The professor's tentacles were moving in agitated patterns when Hana arrived. I have reviewed the security footage from today's incident, Professor Kithara said. It was quite illuminating. Oh, Hana said. The cameras clearly show Vextal and his associates cornering you in a maintenance corridor. They show him attacking you with obvious intent to cause serious harm. They also show you responding with exactly the amount of force necessary to neutralize the threat. Yes, that sounds accurate, Hana said. What they do not show is how a 17-year-old human girl was able to defeat 4 adult Saurian males in hand-to-hand combat. Hana shrugged. I had good teachers. Indeed. Professor Kithara studied her for a long moment. The Academy's official ruling is that this was a clear case of self-defense. Vextal and his friends will be facing disciplinary action for assault and harassment. You will not be charged with anything. Thank you, Hana said. However, the professor continued, I suspect that this incident will lead to a galaxy-wide reassessment of human capabilities. The prevailing wisdom has been that Deathworld species are tough, but not particularly dangerous to others. Your performance today suggests that this wisdom may be flawed. Perhaps, Hana said, or perhaps you have just been meeting the wrong humans. Professor Kithara's tentacles waved in what might have been amusement. Perhaps indeed. Tell me, Miss Hana, how many humans are there like you? Hana thought about her brother, training with the military. Her cousin Minho, working in hostile environment security. Her parents, who studied deadly alien predators for a living. Her neighbors back home, who thought nothing of wrestling crocodiles or hunting venomous snakes. More than you might think, she said. Fewer than you might fear. The next morning, Hana woke to find a message waiting for her from home. It was from her brother Tyek, smiling at her from their family kitchen. Hey, little sister, his recorded message said. I heard through official channels.